Today I'm going to be talking about play. To the title of Child Initiated Play is Real Play, and play is the work of children. The childhood is defined as a time when children indulge in play. This has been endorsed by a number of important people in the field of education, such as Maria Montessori, Jean Piaget, Joseph Chilton Pearce, who talked about play in his the book called Magical Child, and he says play is the only way the highest intelligence of humankind can unfold, and that just makes the need for play a very, very important part of human development. Now, today I'm going to be talking about child initiated play. So, what is child initiated play? Child initiated play is when the child chooses, initiates, and decides how long the child wants to play, what he wants to play with, or she wants to play with, and how long, and what is going to be the outcome of that play. Now, of course, play has been beautifully used over the years. We remember our childhood as times where we were immersed in play. United Nations Convention for the Right of Child talks about play being a right for children. And the present situation is such that we have, on one hand, a fantastic body of research telling us the importance of play in education, in the growth of children, in the growth of mankind per se, the need for play for adults as well. And the more we know about it, the more it's getting a bit complicated defining it. Also, with that, the structured curriculum and the structured kind of scheduled life of children at the moment is posing to be a big danger. So, in my work with teachers, with students, with parents, there has been an increasing interest in play. Educators are designing play based activities. Um, Parents are buying all sorts of play equipment around for their children, and the entire education market is flooded with lots of activities termed play. So let's simplify the word play, and one of the ways I thought I would do that is to give a very simple definition of play which anybody can use. So we have different categorizations of like child initiated play, child teacher initiated play, or teacher led play. There's therapeutic play, there's play therapy, different ways of defining play. But if I was to see a child indulging in an activity, or for that matter anyone, or any person of any age, how would I know whether that's play or not? That's very simple. Very, very simply, I wanted a definition which can guide a lot of people. So I coined a term which actually is very simple to understand. It is an abbreviation um, by itself, and an acronym which spells play. And so it's PLAY, and it stands for Perseverant Learning Applied Yourself. And if all of these four things are happening, there is surely play happening. So let me tell you how that works. So when a child or an individual is persevering, play is taking place. This is really important to understand. A number of times we've seen the parents saying, you know what, I was playing with my child, but my child kept running from there and doing something else. So was that really play? No. But when you see someone, it could be a chef in the kitchen who is persevering with that technique. It could be a player in the field persevering with something. It could be a child playing with something that he or she has explored recently and perseveres. So perseverance is a very, very important part. And if there's no perseverance, there is no play. Perseverance comes from intrinsic motivation, and the intrinsic motivation is what guides the play. Now, although teacher-led play or teacher-initiated play, where the child is provided pretty much the framework of the play, and the teacher says, "This is what I'm providing you. You can do something with it." It could be, let's say, a particular toy, but there are do's and don'ts of it. and the output can be based on the wish of the child. It will also be based on certain parameters set by the teachers. Now that's great. That's also a kind of an activity, but it's not authentic play, because if the teacher goes, the child might move to another activity. So there's no perseverance, and therefore that's not real play, right? So play is where there is perseverance, and perseverance is there where there is play. Um, you can argue that even when there is no perseverance, someone is helping the child, that is still play. Yes, there is play. However, perseverance makes play powerful. That is where the child actually uses all of the different skills, all of the different, um, he or she finds a place in himself to muster the courage to carry on the activity. It could be breaking something, a skill. It could be acquiring new skill, or it could be repetition to perfect something. It could be like, a child going up the mountain, coming down, not mountain, well, but a hill. It could be going over and over the same activity again and again. It could be with the help of an adult or a peer or a sibling, and then later on mastering it himself. All of this is perseverance, and therefore play begins with perseverance. Now, the second letter in play is L, and L stands for learning. Now, um, we have a lot of, you must have heard a lot of people saying, well, I play, but the child still doesn't understand, doesn't get it. So when there is play, if the child is not persevering, that means either the play activity is not to the level of the child or to the interest of the child, or there is a barrier in terms of the choice. That very minute, the child doesn't want to do that. So the wishes of the child are really important to persevere and learn. And yes, the role of an adult or anybody, Vygotsky talks about the zone of proximal development, where he says that if something is a bit difficult and someone actually helps you along the way, when you are interested, that particular help can go a very long way to learning something. And in play, that happens very often. So very often, a child works along another child or an adult or a sibling, and works on something for persistently for some time until the child masters it. So what was not persevered in the beginning, because of the help of the second person, the perseverance comes, the learning comes. And that is fantastic. It is clearly the child's own intrinsic motivation drives it, and therefore play is when there is perseverance and when there is learning. If learning is not happening, perhaps you have to take a closer look and observe that scenario. Maybe the activity is too easy or too difficult, or the child needs some sort of a support. In all of these circumstances, if the observation and listening of the person who is leading this activity or is the companion of the child, um, if that person makes some adjustments, the play can go on very well. So that is an extremely important part of play learning. Learning happens. Sometimes we even feel that, well, what's the learning? The child is jumping again and again and again and again, but actually the body builds a memory of the movement, and that stays with the child forever and ever. So that has a lasting impact. Children work on their schemas, and sometimes they're obsessed with learning about a particular thing. They're getting deeper into it. It could be a child, I clearly remember, who was obsessed with magnets and played with magnets for months at end. And then finally said, I'm now interested in something else. So learning, sometimes part of being part of the play, is so deep that the child is completely immersed. And that's play. Play is not always outdoor kicking the ball, rough tumble play. It is such a broad activity we humans go through throughout our lives, really. The third aspect, so P for perseverance, L for learning, and the third is application. Whatever is learned through play can be applied in real life. And if it cannot be applied by the person who's playing, then there was not authentic play. It wasn't real play. And this is something that happens very often with child initiated play. When children are enacting something, they're really, really understood. They apply it. We see that they have actually internalized it. And in many cases, this application can be tangible in terms of you can see it in the way they talk, you can see it in the way it could be a writing based learning that they have applied, something that they've learned in the school that they have applied in a pretend play scenario. It could be mathematics where they've calculated something and have used in play. It's applicable. But sometimes it can be very quiet. A child has learned to accept a friend who the child was finding very difficult to deal with or to share. These are things that you only observe, and you see that children have learned by applying through play. So really, mastery of observation is extremely important here. If a child is not able to apply something after having a good play, surely it is important to understand what could be the possible reason. Is it that the child is not fully aware of what needs to be done? Is it that the child doesn't understand it? So all of those things need to be looked after. So, and it equally applies to adults. So if an adult has had a good play with something, if the person cannot apply it, it's not really play. It hasn't really reached that time. Play is that holistic real life application. So if something is done with perseverance, an activity done with perseverance, there is learning and there is application, surely it is play. The fourth letter is Y, and so PLAY, play. Perseverant learning applied yourself. So the important thing about play is nobody can do it for you. You can't delegate. Can you please go and play for me? No, that doesn't happen. Play has to be done by the person himself or herself. It's an activity that gives a great amount of positive feelings. Sometimes actually there is frustration in it, but it's a good frustration. You want to be part of it, you want to persevere, but it has to be done by yourself. And this is exactly why child initiated play is so important. When a child is starting an activity and taking it forward, and is completely immersed in it, and nobody else is helping, that time the output that comes in terms of feelings, behaviors, and tangible things such as drawings and writings and mathematics, it could be anything, it could be a model that the child has created. When that happens, that play has taken place. In other words, to understand play from this lens, the PLAY, perseverant learning applied yourself, it has been extremely beneficial for me and a lot of people who have used this model of understanding, a lens to understand. We also now, because of this understanding, we feel that when we look at children, we don't look at play as an activity away from learning. Actually, it is learning. This is extremely important for parents to understand, for teachers to understand, and really find opportunities to provide children time for child-initiated play activities. It could be a time where children have different corners where they can explore, they can work with each other. At home, it could be a box full of things that they can use. It could be a time when the child says, I would want to play, and you decide and co-construct how you want to play. When all of these things happen, we definitely know the child is developing. We definitely know we have looked after the child's needs to grow, to become intelligent, because intelligence is growing every day with the child. And we also now know that play can is not an activity which has a stereotypical image in our mind of physical play. Learning a language is play for many people. Learning a new hobby is play. Um, Cracking a new skill, painting, fixing things, writing, drawing, painting. And also, play could be loud, it could be quiet. A child could be at play when he or she is dealing with a particular skill or a particular interesting thing happening in his or her life. Um, so this power of understanding the need and um, the the real opportunity here for children is extremely transformative for not only the children but for us, because if we provide and a great sense of observation we provide our children, we don't become the buyers of activities provided by different medias, our peers, social media. A number of parents are coming and saying, this is in vogue, shall we do it with our child? And our answer is always the same: start from the child. Go create a play opportunity with your child, because when they create it, when they initiate it, it's really play. So, well, I hope that helped you understand, and do subscribe to Project Education for more such wonderful educational videos and inspirational talks by global educators. Thank you very much.